Well, hello everyone. My name is Scott Morris. I am the GTS board game guy, whatever title you want to give me this week. It seems to be different every week when I talk to everybody. But thank you so much for joining us here for another one of our retailer webinars. Today I am joined by Maria and Carrie, who I just realized are labeled incorrectly backwards on Zoom. So we'll get that fixed in a second. So Maria and Carrie are from the US Playing Card Company and Games by Bicycle. And I'm really excited. I actually wore my Mos Eisley Spaceport shirt in honor of the Star Wars stuff we're going to be talking about today, which is going to be really cool. We have several things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about both the playing cards that you more than likely know the US Playing Card Company from. And we're also going to be talking about board games, which is the Games by Bicycle division of the US Playing Card Company. And very excited. I had a chance to actually play all three of the games that we're going to be talking about here over the last week and had an absolute blast with all three of them, which is really awesome. So this is something that I'm really excited about because we have grown tremendously with this company. So when GTS brought the US Playing Card Company on about maybe a year ago, there was a lot of questions about well, will a lot of retailers want to carry poker cards, or will they want to have thematic poker cards, and how's that all going to work out? And I'm really happy to say that this is a company that we have grown literally almost 10 times year over year in sales, which is phenomenal, especially given the SRP of the decks, right? Some of these decks are like anywhere between $6 and $10. So very low SRP decks, which is really awesome. But there's a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. I don't want to steal too much thunder. I will let everybody know, as always, I always use this pun, everything is on the table, so you're allowed to ask any questions you'd like. All you have to do is hover over your window and hit the chat bubble. That's if you're here live. If you are watching this recorded on YouTube, you're more than welcome to leave a question down in the comments below, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible on that. But if you are here live, just feel free to hit the chat bubble. You can send a message to either all the panelists, which are myself, Carrie, and Maria, or you can send it to all panelists and attendees so the other retailers can see the questions as well. Maria and Carrie, you don't have to worry about messing around with the chat window. I'll do that and kind of moderate that. And then as questions pop up, we can kind of, jump into the conversation on it. But other than that, I thank you all for coming. Really appreciate retailers taking the time. And Maria and Carrie, thank you for taking the time to talk to our retailers. I'm going to take my face that was made for radio, let it shut up, and I'm going to let you take over from here. Okay.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Scott. I'm going to get my screen shared over here. And I'll just warn you, the audience, that I'm not always the most technologically savvy. So if you can't see something or hear something, please let us know. So, because it's probably something that I'm doing on my end. But yeah, thanks again, Scott. Thanks for having Maria and I. We're really excited to be able to take this time and present to you guys. Scott talked about it a little bit, but we are the United States Playing Card Company. We have been around, let me get my screen moving here. We have been around for over 130 years. We are known for our bicycle brand of playing cards. And then, now here recently, starting 3 years ago, we started doing board games. So while our playing cards are our bread and butter, we have the means, we have the talent for the board games, and that's why we're just excited to be able to present those to you today. Just a little bit of backstory, and I'm going to share a little bit of data with you. And primarily the reason I would like to do that is my background is in category management, and I've always worked in kind of traditional retail, food, drug, mass. But I think there's a lot of things that can be gleaned from that kind of information. And I want to share that with you and see how it can help you as the retailer, glean what you can from it and be able to make some educated choices about the products that you bring in. So right now, Bicycle, we've got an 80% brand awareness on our playing cards. It's the highest of any playing cards out there. We also carry the Hoyle line, Bee, Maverick, Aviator. These are all different price points of playing cards that we have available so that we're trying to fulfill each customer need. Going into some of the data, I know, as hobby stores, you guys were shut down for a very long time. We had a really interesting year with COVID, to say the least. Well, in traditional retail, what happened was we obviously saw a huge spike in sales coming, starting in March all the way through kind of mid-May, June as a result of the pandemic, because the stores that were open were the quote unquote traditional retail, your food, drug, mass. So a year ago, we were looking at a category sales of about 120 million. And when we talk about the category, what we call the category from, we purchased this IRI data, the category is considered traditional playing cards, which are your ace through king, and then your card games, which is think like Uno and Phase 10, stuff like that. So those two segments were worth about 120 million a year ago. Now, as things have opened up, there's more other channels that people can go to, more activities. We're seeing that right at about 114, 115 million. But one of the bright spots, and what I want to point out, is what's driving that decline. As you can see, it's been the card games that have gone down most dramatically compared to the playing cards. From a 52-week level, we're still seeing a growth in playing cards, and that's coming from the bicycle playing cards, our premium cards, as well as cards like Theory 11, which is some of the stuff that I'm going to show to you today. Just a brief little view of who are the major manufacturers in traditional retail, food, drug, mass, those type of retailers. And it's Mattel and it's us. It's a pretty, for the most part, kind of an even split. Mattel obviously is Uno, and they have a huge portfolio of games. They had a tremendous year. And just again, as a result of COVID, they're seeing some declines. US playing card, we're up. We are seeing still growth coming from our premium playing cards. Little bit of history and background. So USPC, we have a 35 share. We make and sell Theory 11. Our parent company is Cardamundi, and you actually can see that they've had some declines, and that's by their choice. They've taken a different strategy. They're kind of stepping away from retail as they push our bicycle brand. Additionally, we make a lot of the private label cards that are found or were found in the drug channel, and that's kind of a shifting strategy as well. A lot of those drug retailers are getting out of that private label. Just a brief view of kind of what the standings are. If you look at, again, traditional retail, it's Uno. It's a classic game. Ages, grandmas know it, kids know it. That's why it's a successful game. But you can see that the #1 playing card and the #2 item overall is our bicycle standard playing card, and it's up 28%. And this is a card that literally has been in distribution 100+ years and still continues to have, a really fantastic growth. And we're so proud to have that. The other thing I want to point out down at the bottom, and you may think it's weird to point it out, is the #25 items, Bicycle Stargazer. This is a $65,000 item in traditional retail. And yes, it is in decline, but this is a card that we've had out in retail for about 3, almost 4 years now, and it's still performing extremely well. It's still a top 25 item. And I want you to just kind of put a pin in that, because I've got an item that we're going to show you later on that's kind of a follow-up to this, and I think would do extremely well in hobby, and it's actually not available in traditional retailer. So it's going to be a point of differentiation and a great item for you guys to carry. This is just kind of a view, just so you kind of know. I assume hobby kind of goes the same route, but anytime that there are gatherings, there are holidays, that's when you're going to see increased purchase occasions for playing cards, for traditional playing cards, for hobby games, all of that. Anytime there's a reason to gather, it's a natural kind of a partnership to have those card games and playing cards with it. This is specifically for traditional playing cards. We obviously, you can see what our sales did in COVID, with the impact of COVID-19. We will not see that kind of sales again, nor do we want to because of COVID. But what we're excited about is that we're still seeing our current sales are over 2019. And with that, I kind of want to get into the meat of our presentation and stop talking a little bit and let Maria do some talking. I want to set up that right now, these are our current portfolio of games. We've got Blunderful, Tattoo Stories, Nailed It, Sweet and Spicy, The Alpha, Exchange, and Fumbling Ferrets. These games are all being carried currently by GTS. Right now, and from our shipment standpoint, we have The Alpha is probably our best-selling game. This is an awesome game. If you're not carrying it, I highly encourage you to take a look at it. The artwork is beautiful. The gameplay, the mechanics of it, it's just a super fun game with a Prisoners Dilemma type of strategy to it. #2 that we've got right now selling behind it is Tattoo Stories. And then Sweet and Spicy comes in after it. But these are all great games. I would encourage you to take a look back at them. And with that, I kind of want to get into our new games. And I'm going to start off with a little sizzle video first. And this is where my technical skills come in. So hopefully this plays. We're going to go through emergency. I'm sorry, Scott.
Before you hit the play button on the video, I just wanted to kind of chime in real quick around something that,
Sure.
And we talked about this last week a little bit, but from the retailer's perspective, one of the things that I've gotten a lot of feedback on, especially around the playing card side of the business for the US playing card company, is that over the last year to year and a half of COVID impacting everything, we've had a lot more people who have been either ordering through your online stores or ordering online, in general, and coming into the hobby and coming into board gaming in general. Now that stores are starting to open back up, a lot of those people are seeking out their local retailers if they haven't already, and they're walking in as more foot traffic. I've actually personally been to about 6 different retailers between Austin and Kansas City in the last 2 weeks, and all of them were packed at random days, like whether it was Sunday afternoon or whether it was Thursday at 11 a.m. I mean, just, all of them were doing very, very well. And when you're talking about different decks that have different thematics to them, whether they're Marvel or Star Wars or anything like that, or even just generic cards that most people who are playing games usually have at least 1 to 2 to 3 decks hanging around their house at any given time. It's a great opportunity to have those kind of point of purchase or impulse buys set up at your cash register area, or just, in kind of the front area, to have more familiarity for those gamers as they walk in. So I think that's one of the reasons that this whole portfolio and this whole line has actually grown over the last year, just with us, not just with you guys as a company as a whole, but just with us as one of your distributors, that more and more people are having that foot traffic kind of expand and seeing more and more people going, oh, hey, there's a Mandalorian deck, or, oh, hey, there's a James Bond deck, and things like that. So really, really good things to be able to carry in store. And there's so many different thematics to the decks that you guys have. It's a lot of options for retailers in terms of if they have people that lean more one way or another from their client base, they can kind of customize what they have in store. So just wanted to kind of throw that out ahead of time. So.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Just to add on to that too, we do have access to, what's going on in a lot of the traditional retail channels. And we know just from last year, let me back up a little bit. So when COVID happened last year, we were actually shut down for about 7 weeks. Prior to that, and then for the first 2 weeks of the shutdown, we were allowed to continue shipping. We shipped out every traditional playing card that we could, regardless of design, type. I mean, it was the first time in 130 years that we had not printed bicycle cards. And I say that just because any of those retailers that were open, they took in everything that they could get from us just because there was a need for it. Well, now here we sit a year later, and all of those same, retailers have their sets have shrunk. They're not bringing in the number. They're not bringing in the different varieties. They're not bringing in those again. And so, that's a point where I see these hobby channels have a real opportunity, because they can have a wider variety of cards. They can have the specialty cards, the Theory 11 decks, the bicycle specialty decks, in addition to the board games. And I think, that's what's also going to help drive some foot traffic into the hobby stores as well. And that's, kind of what we want to be able to partner with you guys at GTS and with your retailers, and make sure that we're providing them, with, if it's point of purchase displays, or if it's education, or, whatever we can do to kind of help support retailers selling the playing cards. We definitely want to be behind it. All right, I think we'll go into the games. So I'm going to show you first the video for emergency broadcast. If you could just give me a thumbs up if you're able to see and hear this.
The audio is not coming through again, but the video is. So you may need to stop it and reshare with the sound, I think.
Yeah, let's do that. I think we had this issue last time. 1 second, please.
Yeah, there should be, when you choose to share, there should be a checkbox for share computer sound, and then that'll do it.
Yeah, let's try this again.
My 13-year-old crushed me at this game this weekend.
Let me rewind back here. Okay, are you seeing my screen still? You are. Okay, here we go.
In the midst of a natural disaster, the world turns to first responders.
What we're experiencing here is hurricane force winds, torrential downpours, and record level flooding. Rescue crews have been working around the clock before the next round of storms batters the area.
In the board game Emergency Broadcast, you play as a first responder, and it is up to you to ensure the safety of the residents in your community. Each round, you receive a new set of missions. Strategically lay tiles and score points by reaching your rescue objectives. Act quickly before floodwaters rise and engulf the precious resources. The first responder with the most points after battling the storm for 3 rounds wins the game. Do you have what it takes to weather the storm? Will you see your citizens to safety? Find out in Emergency Broadcast.
Looks like the storm's over.
Okay, so that is Emergency Broadcast. So this is our, I'm going to see if I can show it here just so you can see the size of the box. So this is Emergency Broadcast. It is a light strategy game where all the players are going to be playing as first responders. And what's going to happen is they're going to have a series of tiles and they're going to have a series of objective cards. And based on the tiles in their hand and the objectives that are on their card, they're going to try and score points. And I'm actually not the expert at this, so I'm going to shut up and let Maria do a little bit of talking, and then we'll go through the gameplay about Emergency Broadcast.
Hi, everyone. So just to get us kicked off here, just wanted to make a note of something quickly. There are 3 games that we're going to show today, and all of them are for 2+ players. Obviously, with COVID going on, we wanted to be able to decrease our player count and make sure that they were able to be played with your spouse or a best friend or potentially even someone you're quarantining with. So just wanted to make note of that. So this is Emergency Broadcast. We're super excited about this game. Playtesters really, really loved the theme behind this game, and the objective of kind of saving someone and acting as a first responder was really appealing to them. So that was one thing I wanted to note. The second was a couple of the game mechanics. You do receive new rescue objectives for each round of the three rounds of the game. And this provides an opportunity to evolve or change your strategy over time. There is a game board that is ever evolving over time. It makes for a very fresh play experience each time. And the other concept I wanted to talk about was the rising water, which really heightens the tension and the complexity of the game. So those are a few things that playtesters consistently called out about really loving the game. This was a game by an independent inventor, and he had an opportunity to playtest this game with a lot of really high-profile playtesters, and Elizabeth Hargrave of Wingspan and Peter McPherson of Tiny Towns both tweeted out about this game as when it was still in its prototype phase, just about how they loved the fact that there was so much replayability in the ever-evolving game board. So those are the things we really wanted to highlight on this game. It's a gateway game, so it's a family weight game, but it's a lot of strategy as well for the more veteran hobby gamers.
Yeah, the easiest way to describe this game is it's kind of like if Upwards and Dominoes had a baby. But at the same time, it gives you that pandemic feel. Like when I played it with my family for the first time, they said this is like 3-dimensional pandemic, because you have that layer kind of thing happening as you play out the board in round 1, and then you build up on top of it from round 2 and round 3. I can tell you that it is very easy for younger players to pick up because, like I mentioned earlier, my 13-year-old absolutely crushed me in this game this weekend. It was 46-29, so he absolutely destroyed me. But he made very good use of scoring the objective cards in the middle of the round when he could to get the most points, which is really cool. But yeah, this is a game that's super, super easy to pitch to anyone that walks in your store, and looks really, really good on the table too. It's a very, very tactile kind of thing to look at and see and touch with the different, plastic pieces and everything like that.
One of the things I did want to point out just for retailers, and I know this is backwards, but once you get your hands on this, you can see on the back, I've actually got it, there we go, upside down. On the back, we've got all of the contents. We've got, what's in the game. We've got the basic gameplay. It's, on the front of the package, clearly stating what it is. It's a light strategy game. And we're doing that to try and kind of help so that the customer standing at the shelf, obviously we want you as the retailer to kind of be able to suggest games and be able to give your opinions on them. But also we want the consumer to take a look at it and know, if at first glance at the box, what it is, what the basic gameplay is, how long it's going to take, how many players. And so we've done a lot to really, make sure that those details are all right here on the box to make, the shelf appearance of this, the best it can be. So if there's not any questions, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go through a brief how to play video, and then we'll pause again and see if there's any questions and talk a little bit more about it.
This is Emergency Broadcast,
a light strategy competitive tile laying game for 2 to 4 players. In the game, players act as first responders on a mission to rescue the residents of their community. Over 3 rounds, floodwaters rise, becoming more treacherous and leaving less available land and resources. The winner is the player who best meets their rescue objectives and earns the most points after 3 stormy rounds. For this exercise, we will have 2 players. Setup. Place all black resource tiles face down. Resource half tiles, water tiles, and water half tiles will remain face up. Randomly deal 6 resource tiles to each player. Players keep their tiles in their tray and hidden from other players. Shuffle the round 1 and 2 objective cards and deal 3 cards to each player. Players then select 2 cards to keep and 1 to discard. Players should remember to keep both tiles and their objective cards hidden from other players. Place the tile on the game board to begin play. Select a player to begin the game and give them the first player token. Player 1. Player 1 places a tile and places the first responder meeple on top of it. This is to indicate that other players may not lay a tile on top of the tile just played. The land area may grow as large as the game board perimeter will allow. Player 2. Player 2 reviews her objective cards and places a tile. Player 2 will remove the first responder meeple. Round 1 play resumes until each player has 1 tile remaining in their tray. At the end of the round, score your objective cards. Player 1 has transport, which allows her to score 2 points for each pair of diagonally connected rafts. You may not use a tile more than once when scoring, so in this scenario, player 1 would score 4 points. Her second objective card is most medical kits, which allows her to score 1 point for each distinct group of medical kits. In this scenario, she scores 5 points for a total of 9 points. Player 2. Player 2 scores Chow Hall, which allows her to score 1 point for each adjacent tent and food pair. In this scenario, she has scored 2 points. Now she will score Floating Hospital, which allows her to score 1 point for each adjacent raft and medical kit pair. In this scenario, she has scored an additional 4 points for a total of 6 points. To begin round 2, each player receives 5 resource tiles to place in their tiled tray. They also receive 3 new objective cards from the round 1 and 2 objective cards. Again, they may keep 2 and discard 1. Before play, floodwaters rise. For this round, players may only play on top of other tiles. Round 2 is scored. To begin round 3, each player receives 4 resource tiles to be placed in their tiled tray. This round, they receive 3 new objective cards, but this time it is from the round 3 deck. Again, they may keep 2 cards and discard 1. Before play, floodwaters rise. For this round, water tiles and water half tiles will be used to cover any tile 1 layer deep. The third and final round is underway. Player 2 may exchange a resource tile for a resource half tile if she does not want to play a tile in her tray. There are 2 resources on a resource half tile, and either one may be used for scoring. Round 3 is then scored, and the player with the highest score wins the game.
Okay. Any questions are coming up in the chat room or anything with regards to emergency broadcast?
There haven't been any questions that came up. I just wanted to let everybody know in case anyone joined a little bit late. There is, or there should be, in the chat window, there should be a link to all of the items that are available from the U.S. Playing Card Company from GTS on our website. I just set it up as a link to be able to show both the board games and the playing cards as well. In addition, I also posted a link to what we call our partner produced videos. So the videos that you see here, we have them on our YouTube page, and they're available online. So you can, like, if you want to use them in your store for digital signage or anything like that, you can use them. But there's a link to that as well. So if anyone doesn't see that, do let me know. There was a quick question as to what the price point is, so what the SRP of emergency broadcast is. I'll let you guys say that because I think it's phenomenal for what you get.
Sure. Yeah, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. So this is $24.99 is the MSRP on this game. And again, this is top quality. The cards are fantastic. They've got a nice field finish to them. All of the tiles are very sturdy. They hold up. The board game lays flat. I mean, it's phenomenal quality for this game.
Just one thing I wanted to note as well. So all of the how to plays were created with mock-ups. So the actual components that you will see in the games that you receive will be a lot better.
Okay, well, we will move on. And so the next game that we have is, let me scroll through here.
Come on.
We're gonna go through a video for Sideshow Swap. And first off, I'll hold up a kind of a little picture of it. I want to put it next to emergency broadcast just to give you a feel for the size. So this is a game of deduction, a game of chance. Again, like we mentioned with emergency broadcast, all of the relevant details, the number of players, the components of the game, everything is right here on the back of the box. And this is, it's a fun little party game. It comes 6 to a case. And I'll kind of stop there for a second. We'll go through the video and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it.
Come one, come all, to witness the world's strangest curiosities and most shocking spectacles. The Sideshow Swap has come to town to turn your world upside down. Bring your coin and spend it now. Find the performer who's best in town. The Sideshow Swap has begun. Now come and witness strongman fun. You swap your strongman at the drop of a hat and trade him out for an acrobat. Remember to spend your coin wisely to procure the ticket that will hypnotize thee. The night's not done, the crowd is after the one and only Sideshow Ring Master. Get the game before it's gone. Remember that. The show must go on. Come one.
So this is Sideshow Swap. So this is, as I mentioned, this is a deduction game. The artwork is fantastic on these cards. The packaging is fantastic. It's got a nice little shimmer to it on the shelf. All of these cards are based on just historically accurate, performers that were in, old time, carnivals. And it's just fun. The premise of the game is that you are trying to get to that highest card, which is the Ringmaster. This is a case pack 6. It's got an MSRP of $12.99, which is, I think personally is fantastic. It's a very good entry-level price point. I know sometimes when you're trying out a new game, you don't know if you're going to like it. And so it's sometimes hard to commit to some of the higher price points. This is very friendly price point entry, and it's got a lot of different gameplay. It's going to be a different game depending on the number of people you're playing with and who you're playing with. And Maria, you want to talk a little bit more before we go into the how to play?
Sure. So this game in particular will definitely appeal to those take-that consumers. This was kind of described as playtesters described it as like a love letter with a little bit more strategy and kind of humor added in. I think, Scott, you mentioned that, but we've also heard that numerous times from other people as well.
Yeah,
as Carrie mentioned,
circus, that's for sure.
As Carrie mentioned, the artwork is really great. It features very unique performers from the sideshows of yesteryear. And it's a quick play, which is great because you can, do one game in between some other hardcore games, or you can make a whole night of it and keep playing over and over again. The games are vastly different each time you play, and it's great because you can play with 2 players or up to 8 for a large, fun crowd. Because there's so many of those kind of take that components where you're constantly interacting with other players, it does lend itself to a lot of humor and lighthearted fun as well.
I just want to jump in. I just realized, Maria, we didn't really tell him kind of like at the beginning. I should have kind of introduced you a little bit more, but Maria works with our innovation team. And so she has been with these games since the concept. We talked last week that you're vetting over like 100+ games before we ever get to the final decision on these are what we are going to launch. And so just kudos to you and our marketing team, because I know you guys have just gone over and above everything to make sure that the quality of these games, the gameplay, is what our customers or the customers out there are looking for. So
yeah,
I
one
should have
more
introduced
thing
you
on
before.
that. That's okay. One more thing on that note, Carrie. Sideshow Swap was actually a Kickstarter, and it's been getting some great reviews on Board Game Geek if you want to go check it out. We did do a little bit of a revamp on some of the packaging and artwork, and it looks really great, and we're super excited about this one.
So I have to throw in something that's really silly and really stupid, and everyone is now going to go, wow, Scott, you think about board games way too much. But the size of the box is very small. It's about maybe this big. And boxes that small generally get stuck to each other when you're trying to open the lid, and you can sometimes have to jimmy it and shake it and try to get it off. This one slides right off because of the coating that you guys put on the bottom of the box and on the inside of the cover of the top of the box. And I know that sounds really stupid and pointless, but from a consumer standpoint, even if I'm only paying $12.99 for a game, I don't want to sit there for 3 minutes trying to open the game, right? So that you guys pay attention to very, very small details like that, which make a pretty big difference in the long term, I think.
Yeah, we've got a good team. Maria and the marketing team they have a great eye for detail. And it's funny that you brought up that, because I think we had a conversation, it's been a while ago, just internally at the office. It was something that I hadn't thought about till it was brought to my attention. But it's that first time you open the box, there's an experience to just opening the box. And I mean, they're going in and they're taking a look at those type of details. So thank you for calling that out, Scott. That's awesome. All right, let's go into the how to play.
This is Sideshow Swap, a party game of deduction and chance for 2 to 8 players. In the game, players find themselves transported back in time to attend a curious and mystical sideshow of yesteryear. Use your ticket cards to manipulate other players into handing over their high-value performers and find the coveted ringmaster performer for yourself. The player that holds the highest valued performer at the end of the game wins. This will be a 3-player game. Give each player a turn reference card. To set up, shuffle the performer deck and deal each player 1 performer card face down. Place 5 performer cards face down in the center of the table. Set aside the other performer cards without looking at them. Shuffle the ticket deck and deal 3 ticket cards to each player. During setup, if a player gets a now playing card as indicated in red, shuffle it back in the deck and draw another. Your performer card and ticket cards will always be kept private unless your ticket allows you to look into another player's hand. Place 5 coins in the center area for each player in the game. Then each player will take 2 coins out of the bank to begin. Coins will be used in order to play ticket cards. The ticket card shows the amount of coins required to play it. Select a player to go first, and everyone will look at their own performer card. In this case, player 1 will begin the game. Player 1 will collect a salary of 1 coin from the bank. If the player desires, they can take a ticket from the ticket deck. Player 1 will decide to forego this option. Player 1 will either play a ticket from their hand or swap their performer with 1 in the center area. Because their ticket is the 0 value Poopsmith, they decide to swap with 1 from the center area. Play will continue clockwise. Player 2 will collect a salary from the bank. They will decide whether or not to take a ticket from the ticket draw deck. Player 2 decides to choose this option. She will then decide to play a ticket card or swap her performer with 1 from the center area. Player 2 decides to play the stink eye card, which costs 3 coins that she will pay to the bank. The stink eye ticket allows her to look at Performer 1 and Performer 3 and swap with a player of her choosing. Now it is player 3's turn. They will collect a salary from the bank. They will choose whether or not to collect a ticket from the ticket draw deck. Then they will either play a ticket from their hand or swap their performer with one from the center area. Player 3 decides to play the swap right ticket. This costs 1 coin that they will pay to the bank. This card allows player 3 to swap their performer with the player seated immediately to their right. The game ends when a player runs out of tickets, and the player with the highest valued performer will win the game. In this case, player 3 wins the game with the highest valued Ringmaster card.
Okay, so that is our Sideshow Swap. Any questions or anything from the chat room coming up on that one?
Questions haven't come up about it, but I did want to make sure everybody knew I put in the item codes for each of the 3 games. So for Emergency Broadcast, Sideshow Swap, and Crystallize, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, this game is this is one of those games where you're playing and everyone understands the rules because it's very, very easy. You just play your tickets and do what the tickets say. And then suddenly somebody makes some move and you're like, oh, well, wait, this is how this works. And you start realizing that like you've gone from like a 13 or a 14 value performer to a 2 value performer like instantaneously. And you're like, I got to get that back. But then things are moving around and it gets going. I love games that keep players engaged all the time and don't allow for that iPhone-itis, as I call it, where people just whip out their iPhone and wait till their next turn. And there is no way to not pay attention to this game all the time. Like there's so much happening on every single turn. It's just super cool. And it is very much in the vein of like when I play Love Letter, I'll play it like 5-6 times in a row because it's so quick and it's so fast. Same thing with this. It's a very, very fast game. Even with 6, 7, or 8 players, it's very, very fast. And you're just going to like reshuffle, redeal, 2 very small decks, very, very quick. We also realized very quickly the first game we played, the rules say that you will end the game immediately when either the deck runs out or when a player has played their last ticket. And somebody realized really quickly, hey, I've got the Ringmaster. I'm going to burn through my tickets as fast as I can. And they played their last ticket and everyone's like, what do you mean it's over? It's not over. The deck's not out. And they're like, no, this ends the game. Look, remember, this is when we're like, oh man, we're like completely forgot about that. So that's a whole different layer of strategy in terms of like, being able to rush the end if you have a chance to it, which is kind of cool.
We played this game last year at our sales meeting when they introduced it to us. And we had one of those similar situations where somebody, also they didn't have a very good poker face. So we're pretty sure they had the Ringmaster right off the back, but trying to end the game quickly. And then it became like, I think there were 5 or 6 of us playing, but it was like all of a sudden 4 against 1 or 5 against 1 with the rest of us trying to keep the game going, knowing what he had so that we could keep playing. So it's one of those fun little mechanics of the game. It changes each time and with each group that you play with.
Yeah, for $13 SRP on that, you can't go wrong. It's a good experience, really good experience.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll go on to, these are all my favorite, but Crystallized is my most favorite. So I'm gonna go forward here and we'll show you a little sizzle video for Crystallized.
Crystallized, a multifaceted game of perspective and fun. The goal? Fill the communal facet board with crystals. In Crystallized, each player matches the color facets on the hexagonal cards in their hand with the color facets of the cards already played to add crystals from their own collection to the facet board. Each game, a beautiful and unique play area is created. Don't get hypnotized by the eye-bending design. Watch for plays where you can build out and up to use up the crystals in your collection and strategize to stick your opponents with unwanted crystals. The player with the fewest crystals in their collection when the facet board is full wins. Challenge your mind with Crystallized, the 2D game with a 3D perspective.
All right, so this is Crystallized, and this is a game that has a MSRP on it of $19.99. It comes as a case pack of 4, and this is for ages 8+. Plays 2 to 4 players. This is another quick game that you can play, several rounds because it's only going to take about 20 minutes to play. Like I said, MSRP is $19.99. Gives us a little shot of the box, kind of give it kind of some perspective so you can see the sizes on it. And as with everything else, we have on the back, we've got the components, we've got the gameplay, we've got, on the front, exactly, that this is a light abstract, an abstract strategy game by Bicycle. We have all of the, age, who can play at 8+, how many 2 to 4, and it's a 20-minute game. This is, just a beautiful game. Maria, if you want to go ahead and kind of tell the more fun parts of this game.
Yeah, sure. So just a fun fact, the inventor of this game was actually the daughter of the inventor of Jenga. And she is a very pleasant and whimsical person, and her mom kind of collaborate sometimes on games. And so we're just kind of a fun fact about this game. Playtesters said this reminded them of sort of a tabletop version of Tetris, which we tend to agree with. There is definitely hypnotizing designs each time. So although it's very easy to explain and play, it's a lot harder than you think it's going to be to actually make the pieces fit the way that they're supposed to. It's great that it's 2D and 3D, so you can either build out or up. So looking for those types of plays are very interesting as well. And another thing that playtesters mentioned is just the tactile nature of this game is really nice. We have a game board with some indentations that the crystals actually fit nice and snug in there so they won't shift during gameplay. And the crystals actually have a bevel and a translucency to them, which make them feel, really nice, and, playtesters kind of play with them as they go. This type of game really appeals to those types of players that like to kind of challenge their mind, de-stress. It sort of plays like a puzzle in a way. So just those types of players that kind of want to zen out a little bit. There's probably a little bit less conversation going on in this game because you're so zoned in and kind of focused on the game board. So that's Crystallized.
Before I show how to play, I did want to, Maria brought up the facet board. Again, it's a tactile experience. You're going to have the little crystals that go into these individual slots here. And I also wanted to point out before we show the video as well, all of the crystals, what you're going to see in the video is a little bit different than what the actual product is. What's on the video is the prototype, but the crystals, and this is hard to see. They're like little gems. We talked about it last week. They're like little bits of candy. They're very, very, they're beautiful, just to have to play with. And it comes in a, handy little, I call it the Goonies sack, where, when he dumps out all the marbles and puts the jewels in it, that's what it reminds me of. So this is what the crystals are going to come in. So additionally, the cards are the same. We make cards at Bicycle, so we're very, very particular about the cards that we have in the game. And these are beautiful. They're very solid cards. They're not going to rip. They're not going to tear. You can play out and you can play up. Very high quality. So we'll go through the how to play and then see if there's any questions about it.
Crystallized is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players. It is a beautiful 2D game that requires a 3D point of view. Players lay cards to form a bold and distinct gameplay arena and match colored facets on their hex cards with those cards already played to score crystals to the facet board. The player with the least amount of crystals left when the facet board is full wins the game. To begin, shuffle the cards and deal each player 3 cards. The remainder of the cards will form the draw pile. Shake up the drawstring bag of 72 crystals and blindly deal them out evenly amongst all players. This will be a 2-player game, so each player will receive 36 crystals. Flip a card from the draw pile and place it in the center of the table to begin the game. Select a player to start. Player 1. Player 1 will look at their cards and match up one of theirs with one in the center of the table. In this scenario, Player 1 will match up 3 orange facets on their card with the card already played on the table. Remember, black can always be matched with any color facet, but it will not score any points. Player 1 will score 3 orange crystals to the facet board. Player 1 will then draw another card from the draw pile. Each player should always have 3 cards in their hand. Player 2. Player 2 is unable to match any of their cards to those already on the table. So, they exchange a card in their hand with one from the draw pile without looking at it first. They are able to match their new card, so they play that to the center of the table. They score 3 green crystals to the facet board. Play has continued on and the facet board is almost full. Player 2 builds up rather than out by covering 2 full faces, 1 face each from 2 different cards in the play arena. Player 2 scores 2 yellow crystals. Player 1 decides to play a card that will score 3 yellow crystals by covering up 1 face on a card already played. In this scenario, there are only 2 yellow spaces free on the facet board, so player 1 will score 2 yellow crystals to the board to complete the grid. She will then stick her opponent with 1 unwanted yellow crystal. She is allowed to do this because that player already has 1 yellow crystal in her collection. Play resumes until the facet board is full, and the player with the least amount of crystals in their collection at the end of the game wins. Player 1 has won the game.
Okay, so that is crystallized. And, you know, I guess what I would say kind of in summary of these 3 games is that each of them is very unique. There's, you know, different gameplay, different mechanics to each game. And that was with a purpose. You know, we're trying to, you know, reach, you know, different type of consumers and make sure that we've got something out there that appeals to all of our customers. This is our 3rd year that we've done games. And I think that each year we get better and better with what we do. You know, Bicycle's always prided itself on quality, and then we do the same thing with our games. And I definitely think we display that with this year's games.
And I need to add in that this game has a component I've never seen in any other game, which are those little diamond-shaped gems. You know, most retailers know when you talk about gems inside of games, you think of the Ascension gems, the little red and white kind of spiky bit kind of things. Those are very popular. They're used in literally hundreds of games now. In fact, I think Justin Gary should have gotten a commission off of using those in Ascension originally because they're so popular. But the gems that are in Crystallize are extremely unique. There's no other game I've seen that has used them. And if you're a bit collector, like some people are, I know I myself love tactile things in games. So having something that's unique and different to kind of play with when you're playing the games is very cool. So that's definitely a whole nother aspect to it. But yeah, it's really interesting that all 3 of the games are all different price points, $12.99, $19.99, $24.99, and all different types of play, right? You have more of a party or larger group kind of social information game with Sideshow Swap. You've got an abstract game with beautiful pieces like Crystallized, and then you've got more of a strategy board game with the emergency broadcast. So they all kind of hit on, you know, different types of consumers that may be in the store, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, kudos to Maria and the team for, you know, making sure that we're actually able to bring all this to retail. So good job. If there's no questions on any of the games, I'm going to jump back over. I know we started with traditional playing cards and we've gone into board games. And with the last kind of little bit of time that we have here on the call, I just wanted to go through a few more of our playing card designs. And what I've got up here on the screen right now is the cards that we currently have available, and these are being carried by GTS. And just to kind of give a little background, when we launch new playing cards, we're going to be launching new decks every January, and we do that with a purpose. We come out every year with 3 to 4 new designs, 3 being minimum. More likely, we come out with some other ones throughout the year, but definitely every January, we're going to come out with a new rotation of cards. And we do this just to keep things fresh, because there are different sectors of the customers out there that are collectors and interested in cardistry. And they, you know, just collectors in general want to have, you know, a wide variety of cards. These cards are stunning. They're like little miniature artwork. The 3 that you see, Bicycle Dark Mode, Firebird, and Sea King, these are what we call our premium cards. These have an MSRP of $4.99 up to $5.99. I mean, it just kind of depending on where you're located, what the MSRP on that's going to be. These have a higher price point on them because they've got foil on it, on the tuck cases. They've got some more intricate details on the playing cards. And not to say that Aviary does not. It does not have the foil accents on the case. And that's why it makes it a trendy card. And it's going to have that $3.99 MSRP. Beautiful cards. And I highly encourage you to bring these in if you haven't already. If displays are something that your store is interested in, reach out to your salespeople. They can work with GTS, they can work with us, and we can see what we've got to make this a good countertop or point of purchase display for you. So with that, I'm next going to go into something I'm hoping everybody has seen and heard about. It's the game of Euchre. So Euchre is a long-standing game. This has been a game that I think it was the first game that I learned to play. It's huge here in the Cincinnati area, and we have a brand new deck coming out. We do have 2 Euchre decks now. So we have an old deck that at some point we will phase out. This is brand new. This is a single facing, whereas the other one was a double facing. It's got different color schemes to it, a dark blue, light blue. It's just a classic game. And I think, definitely as we go into the fall and we come up on the holidays, this is one of those games where I showed you that chart back at the beginning where gameplay increases during gatherings and holidays. Euchre is a game that increases in play during gatherings and holidays. So I would encourage you to bring some of this into your store, be a quick incremental pickup for your customers. And also, back at the beginning, we talked a little bit about Stargazer. Stargazer is one of the card decks that we've had around forever that has done phenomenal for us. And just last week, this Stargazer Nebula deck became available for us to sell. This is a deck that we launched for our international team, and now it's available over here in the US, and it is absolutely stunning. You can see just on the screen here the details on the card. It's beautiful, and I don't think you'll have any issues moving this card. Your customers will be all over this. And the great thing about it is it's got, all of your classic bicycle qualities. It's got the bicycle brand cardstock, the air cushion finish. It's made right here in our facilities here in Erlanger, Kentucky. So I highly encourage you to take a look at this and bring this into your stores. So both of these decks, the Nebula and the Euchre, as well as all the premium and trendy cards that we've got. We've talked about, the core red and blue decks. That's the heart of bicycle business. But these are the decks that we get to show off, these awesome designs. So definitely bring these in. All right. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the partnership that we have with Theory 11. Theory 11 started out as a custom customer of ours, and we've developed a great partnership with them. Theory 11 comes up with some fantastic designs that they are selling themselves. And because of our partnership, we have now had the opportunity where we can produce these cards for them, but then we can in turn sell it. And that's what enables us to get it into GTS's hands and into your hands. And when we were able to do this, we started with Theory 11 a couple of years ago. All of their decks are beautiful, but the one that we were able to launch last year and the one that we are actually just launching right now if you haven't seen them, I think you're going to be pretty excited about them. Last year, we launched the Star Wars deck, and it's a light side and a dark side deck to represent both, the Jedi Knights and, the dark side with the Sith. These are beautiful decks. If you take a look at the tech case itself, I've got one here. I don't know how well you can see it, but again, it's got the shimmer and the foil to it, and it's fantastic. And the details that are on these decks. The light side's going to have all of your, the Millennium Falcon. It kind of looks like you're looking through the window there. They're stunning. I highly encourage you to bring these in. The next deck that I want to show you, going along with Star Wars, and this is actually just available just here recently, is the Mandalorian deck. And again, this has got the same, bicycle standard quality, that we are known for, but it's got that Theory 11 kind of just, design to it. So you can see it's incredible. It's got, red and black and silver foils on this. If you can take a look, I know I'm not doing a great job here, but you can see in the pictures, the seal on it is the child. And, just the details on this alone, I think of all of our decks as kind of like little mini artwork. They're beautiful. MSRP on this is $9.99. It's stunning. Next one that we have is our James Bond deck. And this is going based on the movie that's going to be coming out in October. So I'm sure we'll start to see more press on the movie. I think it's been delayed a few times just because of the pandemic. I believe it's an October 8th launch or release for that movie. So this deck would be perfect to go along with it. It's got, all of the classic James Bond. It's got some of his different weapons. It's got the martini. You can see, it's hard to see and you have to look at the pictures, but there's so many little details that call to mind movies of the past for James Bond. And again, this deck has got the gold and the black foiling on it. Really, really nice. So the last one is admittedly my favorite, and that's because my daughter and I are huge Marvel fans. So let me switch my screen here. So this is the Marvel Avengers playing card deck, and it's phenomenal. Definitely bring this one in. It has got all of the characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in it. It's got, it's really cool. I'm not going to show the card because I want you to go buy it, take a look at it, but it's got these little hidden details in it. You have to go and find Ant-Man and Wasp on these cards. That's my challenge for you because they're a little hard to find. They're on the court cards, I'll give you that much. But these are beautiful cards. They feature all the characters, the artwork. They feature, the Infinity Stone, all of the, Captain America's shield, Thor's hammer. Everything is represented in it. They're beautiful. I recommend them for playing and just for collecting in general. So I'm really excited to be able to bring these to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have over the last, I would say maybe 3 years, I've learned that poker collectors, the poker deck collectors, are as passionate and as wild as any other type of collector out there. Like what you consider sneakerheads or any other type of thing like that. There are so much passion around, I want to have everything, right? And if you do some searching around poker collections, like I've seen some things online now that people will literally have like tens of thousands of decks because they may never play with them, but they just want them to be able to have and display and, have on hand. But yeah, these are absolutely beautiful. The foil on the boxes alone is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know what it is you guys do to the boxes in terms of like the manufacturing of them, but they are super sturdy. Like it's not like a, cheapo $1 deck you're going to go buy at Walmart that just ends up ripping open and that's it. Like these things, you can kind of almost see it there actually on your slide. There's like a small little crease at the top where the top bends over and it's just extremely, extremely sturdy. So really, really good stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone all out. There's embossing on the tuck case. They're very sturdy. I mean, you're going to be able, like you said, there's a lot of people that are going to buy these and they're going to just kind of stare at them and have them up on the shelf because it's a little piece of artwork. But you do have people that play with them, and that's what they're designed to do. So definitely, you can keep opening, putting cards back in, take them out, and you're not going to have the rips and tears in your cards.
Yeah, it's really nice. Derek just asked what the SKU was for the Avengers deck. Derek, I just put that into chat for you, so you've got it right there. All of the products from the poker side, actually, you can easily search just JKR, so short for Joker, and you'll find all of them in GTS's website, but that's the one for the Avengers deck. Another question that came up, which I thought was really good, and we actually haven't talked too much about it ourselves, but it's a good thing to talk about. Rick had a question with these games that might not have as much product recognition currently. Do you guys have any kind of formalized demo program or display program that retailers could contact you about to get a display or a demo copy for their store?
Sure. Yeah, this is something that we've talked about. So with our games in the past, we did launch some, launch kits, and we were able to send out copies of all the games and send out some posters and buttons and whatnot. With everything that went on with COVID this year, we did not put together any type of launch kit, just because at that point we weren't really sure what was going to be open and how comfortable people were going to be with in-store demos. So right now we do not have a demo kit per se. It's something that we're considering, and I would say keep your ears open. And Scott and I can, we're having some conversations about things we can do to make sure that we can get some games in your hands so that you can try these out.
Awesome. That looks like all the questions that I see in chat right now. But my favorite question. What is the best way for people to reach out to you directly if they have any questions about anything they've seen here, or if someone's watching on YouTube and they got a question and they couldn't quite get it answered immediately? Do you guys have a generic, like, contact at or info at or anything like that email that people can reach out to you at?
So yes and no. We have some, we're still kind of in the midst of reworking like who gets what questions. So I would say for your retailers, if they would come, you can send them directly to me at this point. So my email, I'll give it to you, is Carrie DeVilly@usplayingcard.com. And you're welcome to put that in the chat if you want, Scott. Send any questions directly to me. And then I would also encourage them to go to your sales reps and kind of work up through GTS. And between the two of us, we'll make sure and get anything answered for you. And as we have, we are still, I think I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. We were purchased by Cartamundi. We've kind of been in transition over the past year. And as we continue to transition with them, I know we're going to have some more resources and things to share out. And so one of the things I'm hoping to get is like a shared, like a Google Docs and something where I can direct retailers specifically to a site that has all the specs, has all the, sell sheets. All of that's available through GTS right now. But if you're a store and you're looking for that kind of information, be on the lookout, and we will have something for you to share, hopefully here soon.
Everything I just put into chat is a link to the displays. One of the things that's been really cool is that if you wanted to buy just like onesie twosies of these playing card decks, you can totally do that. But in addition, there are countertop display units that will come pre-packaged with the decks as well. And the really nice thing about that is you can start with one of the displays and then just restock as you need to restock. So if you get a display and you find you're selling way more Avengers than you are of James Bond, or vice versa, way more James Bond than you are of Mandalorian or anything, depending on the consumers in your store, you can restock that as you need to, which I think has been another reason it's been really, really helpful. Not having to be committed to, carry 24, 36 decks of a specific type all at once. I think that's allowed a lot of our retailers to be flexible and say, hey, I will bring in, one or two of the James Bond decks, or I'll bring in 7 or 8 of the Avenger decks and be able to kind of display them as they can in their store, which has been really helpful. But just in case anyone hasn't seen them, I put a link in the chat there of the displays as well. And if you are watching this on YouTube, I'll make sure all those links get put into the video details when you click on the expansion for that, so you'll be able to see everything.
Yeah, the displays, they're strong corrugate displays. When you order a display, all the decks are going to come already packaged in that display. You literally lift a lid off, dispose of the lid and set the display right on your countertop, and it will hold up. It's very sturdy, and you can continue to refill it.
That's awesome. It's good. Options are good things. That helps people be flexible with whatever they need in their stores.
And awesome. I would say if there's other things, that you haven't, if you're thinking of, reach out to your GTS salesperson, let them reach out to us. We do have other options. And if we don't have it, we'll consider it and see what we can come up with to fill that need.
Derek has officially asked the first question that I can think of in a long time that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head. What is the footprint of the Theory 11 display count? That's a great question. I don't know what the actual dimensions of it are off the top of my head. We can get it though.
Yes, we can. Obviously we're all working out of our homes these days. I've got one in my office, but it's probably roughly about 12 inches wide. It probably sits maybe 10 inches tall. It's a very small footprint, so it's a perfect size for countertop.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones in terms of like right by the cash register, where it doesn't take up too much space and is really, really easy to see. So, and you guys are going to Gen Con, it looks like.
Yes, yeah. So we will be at Gen Con. Come by, say hi to us. We're going to have the games out, playing them. Maria and I will be there, maybe not at the same time, different days. We're still kind of figuring all that out, but we're excited. I am a face-to-face person. That's how I operate best. And I miss having that interaction last year. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing everybody at Gen Con this year. So it's going to be fun.
We were just remarking last week internally that we have seen more attention to this year's Gen Con from retailers than we ever have in the past. There's always a good amount of retailers that have the opportunity to go to Gen Con, but I do think that this one is going to be a really, really good opportunity for engaging with retailers even more than in the past. So that's really good to see.
Yeah, we've got we're going to be doing some gameplay, so be sure and sign up for that. Stop by the booth, and give us your feedback. Tell us what you think, and we look forward to seeing everybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, retailers, As always, thank you. We're a couple of minutes over, so I apologize for taking a little bit too much extra of your time. But oh, that's a good question. Carrie said, will you be attending Origins as well, which is the other major U.S. convention?
I'll let Maria tackle that one.
So we might be
This is Andrea.
attending, but we will not be exhibiting at Origins.
Okay. And Andrea, I'm sorry, did you just jump in with a question?
Yeah, this is Andrea. I'm on the marketing team at USPC. Maria's correct. We will not be exhibiting this year, but we might just go up there and attend the show, like just walking around and take meetings or whatever. So if anyone wants to check in with us, it's right down the street from us, so we might be able to make a meeting happen.
Awesome. Cool. I'm sure as everything gets back to whatever the new normal is going to be moving forward, we'll see a lot more attention from the shows. This year is definitely kind of actually this year fits really well with Sideshow Swap. It's like juggling flaming chainsaws. It's kind of crazy. So
Great comparison.
yep. Awesome. Well, again, retailers, thank you so much. Always appreciate y'all coming by, being able to talk to our publishers and learn more about the games and the products they offer. And Carrie and Maria and Andrea, thank you very much for stopping by and talking with everyone. As always, these are not ones and dones. As you guys have more products coming out, which you will, of course, we want to be able to have you back and be able to highlight them with the retailers. Retailers, if you do have any additional questions, by all means, you can reach out to me directly. My email is just smorris@gtsdistribution.com. Other than that, we hope everyone has a great week in your stores. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week. Take care.
Thanks. Appreciate it.